what we do. We perform an experiment, and an emergent scientific truth is when there's an agreement of experiments and observations conducted in different ways by different people in different places, especially if those different people are competitors with one another. You don't want the other person, again, this is the emotions of being human, you don't want the other person to win, you want to win. So they do some result, I'm going to show that they're wrong. And so you do some experiment to show that they're wrong, and you find out showing that they're right. When these kinds of results rise up, you have an emergent scientific truth. And these emergent scientific truths, you haven't proved anything. What you've done is demonstrate a truth. And what's true within that is that an emergent truth does not require that 100% of all experiments agree. Just the majority of them, the overwhelming majority. That's an important fact. It means for every emergent scientific truth, there's always going to be some observation and some experiment that does not agree with the emergent truth. And it is the nature of experiment and observation that there will always be outliers. So what you have, for example, in climate change, you have this emergent truth where geologists and biologists and migratologists and insects, what are the bug people, what are they called? Entomologists, thank you. And why don't they just say they're bug people? Why do I have to memorize Latin roots to know what the hell they study? Get me started. You know about my field. You tell it like it is. What are spots on the sun in my field? What do we call them? Sunspots. See? We don't comb the world for more syllables than are necessary to convey the point. And find some extinct language to draw from. Jupiter has a giant red spot on it. You know what we call it? Jupiter's giant red spot. Big red star, red giants. Region of space, you fall in, you don't come out. Light doesn't even come out. It's dark. Black hole. Beginning of space-time, universe, and everything, Big Bang. We are one-syllable people. Universe is hard enough to confuse it with somebody's lexicon. So where was I? Bug people. Why was I talking about bug people? Oh yeah, thank you. Climate change. Thank you. Because I'll just wander away. I'll never come back. So people who study bugs that might normally die over the winter, when the winters become more mild, they rise up with fervence in the spring. So you get bug specialists, you get animal migratory specialists, you get biologists in general, you get climate scientists, you get geologists, and they don't necessarily even talk to one another, and they do a study and they arrive at a conclusion that is in broad agreement. That is an emergent scientific truth. And like I said, there'll always be some outlier when you have an emergent scientific truth. And by the way, that's different from something for which there isn't really an emergent consensus of experiment, but there's a sort of a hub where we hold on to what we think is true. And then someone comes up with a new experiment showing that it's probably wrong. There might be some initial resistance to it, but eventually that stuff gets through. All the weird ideas that end up true, they all got published. Relativity got published. All of that, evolution got published. Continental drift got published in peer-reviewed journals. You have people saying, I have an idea, but no one agrees with it because they are afraid to lose what they're clutching to their what they think is true. There's an old saying. To be a genius is to be misunderstood. But to be misunderstood is not to be a genius. Just because people don't understand what you're saying doesn't mean you're a genius. Also, I am tidying this up, and we're in the middle of a word shift. I study what words are and their meaning and how they shift depending on forces that operate on the word and on our culture. So this word we had to sharpen only in the face of what was essentially creationist groups trying to say that evolution was just a theory, therefore you can put in creation science. And so we've had to sort of say, all right, if we're going to have these kinds of uninformed or underinformed attacks on our words, we should tidy them up. So I will present to you how we should be using the word theory. So theory is an understanding of nature that explains broad areas of what is known and successfully predicts what is yet to be discovered. That is a theory. And when you have that, you have things like quantum theory and relativity theory, the theory of gravity and the theory of evolution and chaos theory, and it goes on and on. That's how you use the word theory. That's how we all should be using the word theory going forward. And that protects how we're using and thinking of the theory of evolution. How, just tell people, yeah, there's theory of relativity, it's got E equals MC squared in it, and it makes bombs. That work? Yes, okay. So, I left out the etc. Did I get the etc.? Oops. How did I get that far back? Sorry. Let's go through this. Okay, again, are there any pie champions out there? Do I hear 20 digits of pi? We had 84 digits. Okay. The left side of the room just blew you guys away right there. How many we got there? 119. Do I hear 120? No, he bows out on that one. Yeah, that's all I got, I guess. I could have just, you know, I'm in my old age, I'm a fan of what Einstein said. Never memorize stuff that you can just look up. Pi is a very look-upable number. My son is trying to get into this pi thing. He's up to 78 decimal places. And the weird thing is he'll just be reciting, and he'd be like eating a sandwich or something, and the numbers just come out of his mouth, and I'm thinking, where are you storing this information? You really need pi to maybe 14 decimal places, at most 20. That can calculate the circumference of the universe accurate to like a couple of feet. You know? And do you need to know it more accurately? I'm just saying, you know. We gotta get past all this again, sorry. Science truth, emergence of agreement, monster balloon, doesn't require 100%. This is like the review session here. Theory, understanding of nature, good. Okay, I think we're back to where we were. So, nope. And what started it all was a little etc. Let's get that in there. Yes! We are back. All right, so I want to now introduce the concept of hypothesis. So hypothesis is an idea of how something in nature might work, but remains to be fully tested. So most ways where people would casually use the word theory, they actually mean hypothesis. I have a theory that I want to test. You have a hypothesis and a hypothesis that you want to test. So this is going to be hard because I have many colleagues, one of whom is speaking tomorrow as your keynote, who is totally into like the theory of everything. But I want you to tell him that I said it should be a hypothesis of everything. He will initially initially reject it because it doesn't sound as cool as a theory of everything, but deep down, he'll know I'm right. Just get him, like, corner him and say, you know Tyson's right. And he'll admit it in the corner even if he doesn't on the stage. Of course, I'm talking about our guy who put the meaning in nothing, Lawrence Krauss. So I won't be here tomorrow, so give him my regards when you see him. Just so I want to put all that on the same page. Now, you know what I'm jealous of? I'm jealous of countries that have had national pride in science. And I, over the years, collected some currency from different countries, where many countries, they put their heads of state and things on but some countries put scientists on there. And so here's, these are notes that I own, and there's some familiar faces there. Nikola Tesla, in the upper right, he's got a huge fan base out there. Presumably some of these. We got Copernicus in the middle right.